Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast. This is our fourth episode. We hope you guys have been enjoying it. This week's topic, we will be speaking about,
A lost loved one.
there you go, hard
I
topic, but
yeah.
good memories.
Good memories, hard memories,
Hmm.
but I'm excited about this podcast. Obviously our viewers can see that we have like a little mini ofrenda, I guess, in a sense.
Hmm.
Um Hopefully we don't get banned from, the thing right there. But I, I'm really excited about this and I hope that we bring um dad justice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that and to share a little bit about him, bring his memory to life a little bit, and hopefully, I don't know, that touches people,
Yeah.
the story, the person he was.
Mhm. All right. So you ready to dive in?
I am.
All right. So how do you okay, cuz I don't know honestly how they met.
Hmm.
I just remember dad when he was in our lives. And let's preface this by saying that he is not biologically related to us in
At
any shape
all.
or form, but he made such a big impact on us that I consider him my dad, you consider him your dad.
Hmm.
Even if blood doesn't run through our veins, that's related to his. So,
Yeah.
how do you know that they met? Because I don't know.
With mom, I ask her questions, to get like clarification. I'm very curious. And she did mention, I don't know details, but she did mention that she had, I don't know if she stumbled upon him, or
Hmm.
like I said, I don't know details. When mom is here, she'll give hopefully better details and
Yeah,
like accurate details. But from what she told me, basically she's seen our dad and his baby girl A in a car. They were living in his car, and it kind of like tugged at my mom.
yeah,
And at that time, we were living in Tustin. We
hmm,
had the 3-bedroom apartment.
yeah. The Tustin apartment that we mentioned in episode 2.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, just episode 2 because there's an episode 2 part 2, but
Hmm.
just episode 2 we mentioned the Tustin apartment.
Yeah.
So we were living at that household during the time that they met.
And had to be in the year 2011
Yeah.
when they met. And so my mom, mind you, it was her and 4 girls living in that 3-bedroom. And she brought him in, and he had his own room with his daughter at first,
Hmm.
which I think that was you in Savannah's room.
Yeah.
And then my mom ended up moving all of us into 1 bedroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
And
know if they met through friends, if it was like a street thing. I don't really know the details, but I know that that is something that mom said, is that she saw them in that like living condition, and it like pulled at her heart.
was this at his car? Was it the blue lowrider?
I don't know if it was that one or if he had another one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because that's where our love for like
old schools.
oldies, lowriders, that type of music, that type of environment, that
Mhm.
culture
Mhm.
of our love got brought into because he just loved it. He
He
loved his
introduced
Lolos.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember how they met. Actually, I just remember him being at our house
Mhm.
and this man just was there and he brought his baby girl A,
Mhm.
and it was, him and mom were together and it just blossomed from there. Yeah.
I don't know if blossom is the right word. I feel like to us as kids,
Mm,
mind you, we never had a father figure
yeah.
in our lives, so this man was the first one to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
And I want to include too, I know we touched base on it in the last episodes about like our mom having like her guy friends over, her homies, and like
Hmm.
there were men around, but I could say that he was the only man that really like, I don't know, like,
Stepped up to the plate.
yeah.
Like everyone else was there for like to get drunk, to, to party, to the kids were on their last like thought process
Mhm.
where he realized like maybe it was because he had like baby A and like that tugged at his heartstrings a little bit,
Mhm.
and also like mom was a single mom, so yeah, he was just the first one to step up to the plate. And I feel like that's what made a big impression on the both of us. Because he wasn't just there to have fun.
To me, I seen him different when, cuz like I said, abuse was present,
Mm-hmm.
and like mom didn't care if they're like, she only cared to hide that side of her when the social worker was there, or when someone of authority that she was like scared that would remove us, that's when
Mm-hmm.
she would be on her best behavior. But I
Right.
feel like when her homies were over, obviously she was in their world, and like she would abuse us. And I feel like me, I would run to them to see if like maybe like, will you help me, like
Yeah.
will you protect me, will you. And I feel like the only one that made me feel safe, made me feel seen and heard, was him. So
Mm.
to me, that was what made him stand out and was like different from the rest.
Yeah. That's crazy. I do know that there's a study out there that says, I might be wrong, but I hope I'm not, but whatever age you start using, you get stuck at that age, at that
Mhm.
mindset. So for mom, it was like when she started using and she was 20 years old, I
Mm-mm.
believe, 22.
She started using after she left my dad, my bio dad.
Yeah.
So, and she had me at 18. So, anywhere between
18 and 19.
18 and 19 is when she started using.
Oh, okay.
I
So
believe, but
we'll
that's
be
what she told me.
well, they do get stuck at that age of
Mhm.
like them using. So I think she
Dang.
just had that mindset of like that 18, 19-year old because that's where she got stuck at.
Mhm.
Even now, like sometimes I think like I see that mindset of like there's some things that don't change.
Yeah.
And you know,
Some things that don't mature.
yeah. But that's crazy that you thought like that's like the first impression that he made on you, because for me it was like,
That was the biggest, not one of the first impacts.
mhm,
That like, okay, you're like, you're different. Like like I
you're
don't
not
know, it was
just
almost
here to
like a
be here.
switch. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just like weird. Like, cuz it was every other day when they would be there, and me like, it was a cycle of me like, oh, like looking at them like, are you not gonna say anything, are you not gonna step in, are you not like.
The random men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was all like I said, like I am, when I think of those things, I think of just like their drunken laugh, like it,
Yeah.
that's it, like it was. So imagine like me looking at them being like, oh, like maybe hopes like they'll be the ones to help, or like tell my mom something or
Mhm.
something, like. And all I remember hearing is like them like ignoring it and like just laughing, like.
Mhm.
And he wasn't, like, I feel like he was the first one to step up and do. Unfortunately, it was the bare minimum, but for us, because we never got it, it was
Yeah.
just like so like I don't know, like it was a switch.
Yeah.
Like life changed when he.
Entered our lives.
Mhm.
Yeah, for me it was like dad made such a big impression on me because I felt like he was the first, kind of like what you said, like the first one to give you that like, yeah, unfortunately it was the bare minimum, but for us, because when you grow up in a childhood home where there is no love, where there's no comfort, where you're kind of like on this survival instinct of mom's never gonna really care about what you do, so she's in her own la la land, you're kind of by yourself. Dad was the first one who ever looked at me and like asked me how I'm doing. Like he
Mhm.
was the first one who ever like noticed me when, kind of like what you said, like you go unnoticed by these so many people in the household.
Mhm.
But he was like the first one to be like, I remember this good memory of like I really needed desperately shoes, and we talked about it in episode 2 about like wearing the consistently like the same boots that you
Mhm.
had, right? Or for me it was the same shorts. He noticed that I had like my shoes were very worn down,
Mhm.
and I remember it right now that like he came home and he had bought me these, I think they're DC shoes, but they're
That's the
like,
old school.
yeah, they were like blue with black. And oh, if I could find them one, I swear if I ever find them one day, like that will be something that I need to purchase right then and there. It could be
Yeah.
my last penny, but it just brought me comfort because it was like again, like he noticed.
Mhm.
He noticed that I was needing shoes, and he wasn't biologically related to me. He could be like every other man who came in and out of the house and could care less because
Mhm.
that's not my responsibility. Like they got a mom. But he went out of his way to buy me those DC shoes.
That, and they were both addicts.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that when you are in your addiction,
Mhm.
especially a deep one like my mom and dad, like their first thing is usually how and when can I get my next fix. It's usually not like, oh, I have spare money,
Money.
let me just buy someone that's not related to me that I don't know that. And then at
Yeah.
that time they weren't committed, so it was
Yeah.
just like, I don't know, it was purely out of the kindness of his heart and
Yeah.
because he's seen you.
Yeah. And that just goes to show like the type of person he is, the type of person he was. Um but like you said, let's not forget that he was still an addict,
Hmm.
and just like mom, he too had his flaws. But before we get into the nitty gritty, tell me some good memories that you have about him. Because I just shared the DC shoes.
I have a lot. Like,
Okay.
man, I'm like thinking of, man, this is where I kind of seen him for everything he was, I
Okay.
guess. I don't know if you remember, but in that household, it's a good memory to me, okay? It might be sad to y'all, but it's a good memory to me
Okay.
because there wasn't a lot of bright moments in that house.
Yeah.
So to me, oh my god, I'm like getting flashbacks on flashbacks. They sat us down. It was mom and dad. They sat us down in our bedroom.
Okay.
Um, and they were he was having a conversation with us, or they were both like having a conversation on. I remember him asking like, "Hey, we want to be better parents for you guys. Like, tell us what are things that we can do to change. What are things you guys don't like." And I remember when they were saying that, mind you, that's never been a normal conversation in the household. Like, what do you mean? Like, I kind of thought, I'm being honest, I thought it was a setup. And I feel like we both did because our
I don't remember
reactions,
this.
no,
Mm-mm.
our responses were like, oh no, like we knew, at least for me, like I remember, like I knew that there was a couple things that y'all could change to make my life a little brighter and fairer. But I just like that was never a conversation. So in
Yeah.
my head, I was like, this is set up. Like they probably got a belt behind their back as we speak. They're
Yeah.
plotting, something is happening.
Yeah.
But no, and our responses were both like, no, like it's fine, like you know, I think we said maybe just don't yell, like it was
Oh.
something like that, like, oh, like we kind of
So we really gave a basic answer.
like it was because that was, at least to me, I'm
Yeah, it
telling you how
was.
I processed it. You're saying you don't remember, but the way
Yeah.
I processed it, I really did feel like there's something's up, like because that wasn't a normal conversation,
Mm.
that or them sitting with us, like him, yes, but this loving side of my mom of wanting to do better, of recognizing that she wasn't a good parent and that
Mhm.
there was things that she can fix, like that was something that's why it kind of scared me, because I was like, this isn't normal.
Yeah.
And isn't that sad that something healthy and a healthy conversation that we were having was scary to me because it wasn't normal.
When you grow up in that much trauma, you tend to like be on that survival instinct, and you're always thinking of like there's like kind of like what you said, it was a setup. And
Mm-hmm.
it is sad. Like it's but I honestly I don't remember this. Like I'm trying to like go through my head here and like recall that memory because we talked about it again in episode 2 about like how your brain um creates
Shield you.
shields you
Mm-hmm.
to from certain traumatic events. And I, for the love of God of me, I
Mm-hmm.
can't, no, it won't come to my head. I don't remember that. So,
Yeah, and that to me was one of the happier moments because I don't know, like it was kind of like, oh, there
oh,
is good. And that's
Mhm.
what made me like see him for his flaws. Like they weren't like he recognized that he wasn't the best.
Mhm. Which is crazy because looking back at it, it's like for me in that moment, he was the best.
Mhm.
He was the good that brought that warmer side out of mom for me. The version that like I said, like she was a monster to me, and he came into our lives and he brought a completely different version of mom. And like I just I felt like at that time like I saw no flaws in him because he literally saved my life.
Mhm.
Like he saved just the broken version of me that no one noticed. Wow, that's a good memory for you.
Yeah.
Mm.
It was just a reassuring feeling like, and then too like I said, like I felt like I seen him because being an addict, it's like I can see that they were trying to do better,
Mhm.
but they were victims of
Yeah.
abuse,
Yeah.
of substance abuse, and it was just like a I can see him fighting,
Trying. Yeah.
but still being able to see how that addiction had a hold on both,
Yeah.
and they both like wanted out.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah. Well, that's so like awakening for me to hear that's for you to say that just because like the aspect I guess in the sense that you said like these are two individuals who were trying to fight their addiction. And like I say it all the time, addiction is a disease, but I still hold these people accountable for their actions because they were adults at the end of the day.
Right.
So let's move on to just, we brought a little bit of a tier works. Um, we have some good memories right here. Um, besides the Heineken, because we talked about the Heineken.
Oh yeah, reference the Heineken story. Last was it last one or the
Yeah,
second one?
episode 2. Yeah.
Episode 2. Yeah, it was him. Yeah, that was the loved one that gave us that. Thought Whoppers was a great chaser, and it was not
Yeah.
very nasty. Would not
I don't
recommend.
remember the chasers being the whoppers, but um we do have some really good memories here in the little miniature ofrenda that we did.
Hmm.
Um, to start off by saying that we have the blue flowers because Dad's favorite color was blue,
Royal blue.
royal blue. So I thought that just putting the blue flowers meant a lot to us. Also, I have a really good memory here. Um, I don't know, you could probably see it, the Justin Bieber movie. I have a really good memory about this, and
This is the OG one. I think
yeah.
just in case the glare cancels it out.
Yeah.
That's the OG OG.
Yeah, the
Hmm.
Justin Bieber movie, when he was so popular. Well, he still is popular. Um, but when he was like everyone's crush
I
back
don't
in the
know who
days.
everyone is because I'm not everyone.
Well, I'm everyone.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So, I remember him and mom leaving for the store, and we were sitting at the Tustin. We were actually watching Wizards of Waverly Place back then because that was also a very popular
Yeah,
show. Yeah.
I remember.
And we were all sitting down on the couch, me, you, the two younger ones. They had left to the store, and when they came back, this is when I say like he noticed the little things
Hmm.
because I was a big Justin Bieber fan back then. I still am, but like he noticed those little things and he actually brought this Justin Bieber movie in a black little bag, which now I know is often used at a liquor store, those black small little bags. But he put it in there and he handed it to me and he told me to open it. And so I was just like, okay. So I opened this black bag and inside was this very Justin Bieber movie, and I remember being so excited, like, oh, and then it just has a good memory because then we all sat down as a family and we watched the Justin Bieber movie.
Did we have a family night that night or no?
We did. It was like a miniature, like mini movie night where we all sat down and watched Justin Bieber. Mhm. You don't remember that?
No, I do,
Oh,
but I
okay.
have a scarring memory. But
Oh,
I love that that is a beautiful memory for
okay.
you. I
What's
don't
the scarring Marion to
I
you?
don't even think mom knows that I know this,
Oh,
and you don't know that I know
oh,
this,
oh. That does not
and
make.
it's very uncomfortable.
Okay. What's the scarring
No,
Marion?
you want to finish your sunshine and
No,
rainbow story?
that
Oh,
was it. Oh gosh, she's
okay.
about to rain on my parade.
Not really, but I do remember all of us sitting. We were in the living room, right?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Confirm as I go, because hopefully this isn't the same night. But we didn't have too many family nights, so
Oh.
yeah. Um. So yeah, we were all sleeping on like we were all kind of like lined up on the living room floor,
Yeah.
watching whatever was playing.
It was Justin Bieber.
And I remember we knocked out. Right? We ended up falling asleep, or the night that I'm thinking of, we all ended up going to sleep.
Okay.
And but mom was up.
Okay.
Mom was up. She thought her children were asleep. I think I had woken out of my sleep, or I was just about to go to sleep. I don't know.
Mm.
She woke dad up,
Okay.
and mom wanted to get frisky, knowing damn well that we were literally laying right next to her, all four of her girls.
I was knocked out. Thank God
Yeah,
I don't
but
have that memory.
thank God, thank you, dad, that he was a man, okay, and he respected us so, and he was the one that told mom like, no, like let's get up, and they went into the room and closed the door, and I that's it. But yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
Ew.
that's why I said let me not shit on your parade just yet. Finish your rainbow
That's
story.
crazy. I was knocked out. I don't remember that.
Yeah,
Well, what a gentleman. He said, let's go to the other room. I would have been
that's bare
traumatized.
minimum.
Traumatized. It was mom who started it.
That's what I'm
Dang,
saying.
trauma.
All of that was bare minimum. Like, what do you mean? That's for girls.
Yeah, wow, that's
I
crazy.
don't know if mom. Yeah, I hope you're laughing at it now because I feel like mom's gonna be watching this. She's gonna be like, "Oh
Yeah. Mm,
my god." Yeah.
dang. And okay, just to like go bounce off of that, like so many people viewed because dad was bald headed.
Mhm.
He had a big gap in his teeth,
Mhm.
and he had a lot of tattoos, and he was the stereotypical like what is stereotypical of like how gangbangers tend to dress up with the shorts, the long socks, there's these pairs of shoes that I just can't.
Cortez.
There we go.
Mhm.
So
Nike Cortez.
he tended to dress like that.
Mhm.
Um and so many people tended to question his character.
Yeah.
I do want to like before we get back into this final wonderful memory that we have right here present with us. There is something that like I said, people tended to question his character. And I will never forget this because I just knew I just knew dad and like the type of person he was. Like he wasn't all good and I will 100% admit to that, but there were so many people that just questioned his intentions with us.
Mhm.
I have this one memory of like family coming third baby sister's family
Mhm.
coming to sit like
Mhm.
come visit, and him and I were on the couch.
Mhm.
I had a blanket over me and I was cuddled up against my dad.
Mhm.
And said family comes in, and one individual questioned my mom and basically told her, like, made it seem like if he was doing something inappropriate to me underneath the sheet. Like
Mhm.
that him being, because he wasn't biologically related to me, him being cuddled up against me was very inappropriate. And I just remember thinking back and it's like, but he wasn't doing anything. Like I was the one who cuddled up against my
And
dad.
there's nothing wrong with that because if you see him as your dad, that's normal.
Yeah.
But because he wasn't, they were seeing it as, and then too because of how he appeared.
Yep. So just so many people questioned the character, but I'm just so glad that we're like bringing even like what you said in the story of the Justin Bieber movie. Um, mom trying to get frisky and him stopping it and saying
Yeah.
no and went to the other room.
Cause Jesus, I would have been scarred. Like,
Yeah.
mother, let me not.
I can hear her cracking up right now. She would be
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god, I don't remember that." I
Yeah.
can, yeah.
Cause I've never told her that. But as you were saying that, I'm a person that is very like signs, very spiritual, very like,
Hmm.
I don't know if you've ever paid attention
Yeah.
to the name of the movie.
Okay.
Earlier we were having a conversation about like,
Which the movies is Never Say Never. That's the
mhm.
title.
Earlier we were having a conversation about like signs and like
Hmm.
after we get further in, like, little things that he left for us before,
He passed.
or yeah, like after he passed. And you were saying how like you feel like you got the physical,
Hmm.
like goodbye or like thing to hold on to.
Yeah.
But then too, I feel like you're very, I don't know, I would say like the recent things that you've been going through, like
Hmm.
your hardships that we've been talking about recently.
Yeah.
I feel like the name of it is also like a reminder from him to you.
To like never say never.
Or like never cut yourself short from things that you feel like you could never do.
Oh, that was beautiful. Oh, sister. All right, we had a bit of a intervention. Well, not intervention. No, it is intervention, right?
Like a pause.
Like pause.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we had a bit of a pause, just sisterly talk about something that I needed to hear. Um, so that was good. But we want to
Mm-hmm.
jump right back into reminiscing about dad. Halloween.
Yes.
Halloween is my favorite holiday. I'm a very gothy type of girl. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, you could tell we're completely polar opposites.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I don't like my makeup and that I have my girly stuff, but I love Halloween.
Yeah. We just have
So,
different aesthetics. Like we dip and dabble
yeah.
in like each other, but like not, this is more so me. That's Daisy.
Yeah, this is me. So, Halloween, what do you remember which was dad's favorite holiday? And
Yeah.
it's my favorite holiday.
I remember the pillowcases.
Oh,
So he was very, very smart. Okay.
yeah.
Um, we went trick or treating. First of all,
Are
yeah,
we gonna put that picture up
I
for
was
the
thinking
world
about
to
it. I was
see?
thinking about it, but honestly, we looked oiled up. We looked like we got dipped into some,
Grease.
yeah, and dipped right, like just,
We look like a glazed donut with
but
more
not the good
glaze.
kind. But not the good kind.
That was a
It looked
horrible
like we had
picture.
Vaseline as base.
Yeah. Mom did us so dirty.
And I thought you knew how to
And
do
can we
makeup.
talk about
Mm-mm-mm.
the costume that she brought for Halloween?
For Halloween, it was October. October. And we were dressed as elves.
Santa's elves.
Mind you, that would have maybe worked for A and S for our little
Sisters?
sisters because they were small and they could be Santa's little elves.
Yeah.
But we were already, I was what, 7, you
And I
were
was 10.
10.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
embarrassing. And they were dressed as a cute giraffe and
And
a
a scarecrow.
scarecrow, but it was so cute.
They were the cutest. They were. But mom did us so dirty that night, and even more so with that makeup.
It was
If we're brave
bad.
enough, we'll discuss about it if we put it up here or not. But that
Yeah,
that picture haunts me.
it's just terrible.
It's just
But the bright side was,
yeah.
and remember, I yeah, if I didn't like something, I wasn't gonna eat it. If I
Hmm.
didn't, whatever, I was very stubborn. So what did I do when we went trick or treating? Mom got mad, but I took off my elf hat because you got me messed up. If you think I'm gonna be over here knocking at, it could be my friend's house with this freaking, these big old ears and this tall freaking elf hat. No, I remember I got in trouble for it, but I did what I had to do. But dad, he gave us these pillowcases. We
Mhm.
didn't have like the buckets for like the trick or treating or whatever, but we got like the pillowcases, and he had this like system, I guess,
Yeah.
where we would go and trick or treat different parts of the neighborhood. And when our bag would get like halfway full, my mom had like the stroller, and we would dump it there.
Yeah.
We would dump it there and then go around. And since it was getting later and later,
Yeah.
the whole thing was basically tricking the people into giving us like their last bit of the candy, because we would start at like, they would think we started trick-or-treating at like 8 or 9,
Yeah, because we barely had candy in those
but it
pillowcases.
wasn't that. We would purposely empty it so that they could feel sorry, so that they could give us all the candy they got.
Yeah,
And it
it
worked.
did.
It worked for him though, because I remember specifically getting this king size Hershey chocolate,
Oh.
and the next morning it wasn't there.
Oh. I remember going through all that candy, and he loved Tootsie Rolls. Loved
Hmm.
Tootsie Rolls. Those candies till this day, I'm like, I
I
mean,
ate them for
kudos to
comfort.
you, but
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but he loved them. So I know we gave all our Tootsie Rolls to him. But that was a smart move on his end. It showed people he knew how to hustle.
There you go.
He knew how to hustle.
And he was hustling us for that
Uh-huh.
chocolate. Yeah.
Hey, he used this as bait, and he got his candy.
But honestly, if I ever were to have kids, I'm taking that with me.
No, the
Yes, I
pillowcases.
am.
That's
That's
so
smart.
smart. Yeah, I mean it was heavy.
No, I kind of feel bad because, like, we were lying to take your candy.
Yeah. Hey.
And 9 times out of 10, I don't even know if we got to eat the candy.
No,
Because remember, well, maybe mom was turning a little bit nicer. Maybe she was letting us get the candy.
probably,
Because
most likely,
before, like, she didn't, like I said, like, what we had to eat was,
her
yeah,
leftovers.
her leftovers. But maybe when he was in the picture,
He was nicer.
he
She was
made
nicer.
her nicer. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Something that
was a
you
good.
probably don't remember.
Okay.
Speaking of food and that, I remember when they used to argue and fight, and he
Okay.
would leave. There's this one specific time we came back from school, and I walked into the no, I walked into the kitchen like area, and he was picking up spaghetti, like pasta, like just, it wasn't cooked.
It
And
was, yeah, just a pasta.
yeah, and he had said that it was Savannah that had like gone into something, and he was cleaning it. But I remember like when we were starved in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
he would go and get us food.
Mm.
He would he was the only man, to my knowledge, that would never like hit us, that would never participate in any of the games, that would never laugh at our pain. Do you remember the couch hitting? You remember that?
No.
So when my mom was really upset, she would, I don't know if Benny was scared
Mm-hmm.
or what, but like maybe he just didn't want to see her even more upset.
Okay.
But mom would tell him like to, like if we were getting on her nerves or she was upset, like I remember she would basically tell him to hit us, right? I don't know if you remember, but he would put us on the edge of the couch, right? Like, so we would be bent over. So picture me standing, and then I'm kind of like bent. And I remember he told me, I don't know if it was only done to me, I don't think it was, but maybe to you. But he would grab the belt and he would be like act like you're crying, like
Mm.
pretend. And he would hit with the belt. He would hit
The
the
couch.
couch, and then I would fake cry and like
Mm.
to so that mom thought like he was actually like doing what she said, and like he was like hitting me. And no, and it was
He was
the
hitting the couch.
couch. And that's why I said like I feel like he was the first one that was like, he was the first one that fed me, he was the first one that loved me, he was the first one
Mm-hmm.
that went behind mom's back to like
Not participate.
that, or like give us food.
Yeah.
And like he always said like Even, and he kept that promise into the end if we really think about it, but he's always said like he never liked us alone with mom because he knew how mom was. You know what I mean? And obviously if they're not together it's because something had to happen that could trigger mom to either get
Yeah.
drugged up and then go crazy and do things to us, or
Mhm.
just out of anger be hateful to us. And
Yeah.
he knew that.
Dang.
But that, yeah, I felt like he, in numerous situations, he saved me, whether that was with food, a punishment, getting traumatized by
Yeah.
mom. Like, he always intervened
Yeah.
in a good way
Yeah,
for the first time.
he was a good person. Um Dang.
Mm
So, let's talk about, before we get into obviously his passing,
hmm. Mm hmm.
let's talk about the last good memory he created for us.
Do you want to talk about it?
Oh. Um Disneyland. Disneyland holds a very sacred place for me. It's expensive now, so I don't know how sacred it holds.
Mm hmm.
I'm willing to spend 200 plus for a single ticket, but um, he, again, keep in mind that he was an addict as well, but he had gotten a job, and on his very first paycheck, he took these four girls who were not biologically related to him in any shape or form on a Disney trip.
That and his baby girl.
And his, yeah, and baby A.
Mm hmm.
He took all of us to Disney. He took my mom, he took all of us to Disneyland. And we packed food the night before. I think we did sandwiches. Um, and we went to Disneyland and we were so excited. And this picture, and I'll put it obviously also on the video for more like a clearer version, but
Mm
this
hmm.
is the picture at Disneyland. And you could just tell that he was very respectful. And this was around the time where people were questioning his character and like his intentions with us. So if you see in the picture, he has his arm around Wendy, but he's hovering over Wendy, and he's also just touching like my shoulder. Like he was very respectful of like people's in like people perceiving him in a way that wasn't his intentions.
Yeah.
But he took us to Disneyland. We got on the, I think it was the Dumbo.
Mm hmm.
It was, right?
Where it took you kind of like
Yeah,
up
up
and.
and down. I have that memory just popped into my head.
Mm
Um, we walked around the park. We did all different rides. Let's talk about what was back then the Hollywood Tower of Terror,
hmm. Mm hmm.
which is now the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Really?
Yeah, they put, yeah, they took that down a long time ago.
Mm,
Um, but it was the Hollywood Tower of Terror. I think that's how you say it. It's a
yeah.
tongue twister. Um, but that was the final ride we got on. And me and you, do you remember?
I'm
Mom told
remembering.
us that we weren't gonna like it.
Hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm remembering like in the beginning it was like these videos. Like it was
Yes,
like the story of
yes, of
like
the people who got stuck in the elevator. For people
yeah.
who don't know, yeah.
Yeah, that's all I remember that, and then I remember actually being in the elevator, and then like it was trippy because I don't know, in my brain I was young, so I couldn't really understand because like there was parts where like I could see like the sky.
Uh huh.
And then it was like, so in my brain, it's like, oh my God, is the elevator out of the building and then coming back down? I don't know. I was young, so I don't know, but I do remember it.
That's funny. No, I remember me and you begged, because I don't know what we were thinking, but we begged to get on that ride.
I
And
think
so
it was
dad took,
him.
no,
No?
it was us. We begged.
Because I'm
And
scared of
mom,
heights, so it
no,
has to be
but we didn't
something.
know. We just wanted to go on it. Mom
Mm,
told us we weren't going to like it, that we weren't going to like it, but we were so necias and we're like, yes, yes,
hard
yes.
headed.
Yeah, hard headed. And so he took us. Oh my goodness. I feel like that's where my, like, I can't do heights no more, because we got on there and it's like they put you in this big old room. I can't remember the Guardians of the Galaxy, but they put you in a big room. They showed you a film about these four, maybe five people.
I'm thinking three or four.
Yeah, that got stuck in this elevator. That the elevator, they show you this short film. They got stuck in this elevator. The elevator like plunges down basically, and they all die. basically.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And so then they escort you into where, the Guardians of the Galaxy now, like into that same big room with a bunch of seats. And so we sat down, and the ride starts going up, and then all of a sudden I remember it going up, and in the like most fastest speed ever,
I
it
remember the
just
breeze, yeah.
drops. Yeah, because at some point they take a picture of you
Mhm.
with the breeze. I think that's where it elevates, it goes up, and like they take a picture of you, and then it just drops you down. And that thing went like probably like twice, big
I felt
drops.
forever.
Yeah, and I remember like getting into dad's. I don't think we even like survived. Like our faces weren't even in that picture, because I literally, as soon as I went up, I literally like went in between dad's like shoulder, and
Mhm.
he was dying laughing. Oh, he thought it was the funniest shit ever. Not me. I wanted to cry. And then we got down from that ride, and mom was like, "You see, I told you were gonna like it." Blah blah blah. Blah. Yeah, that's the memory that I have.
I don't remember that one like that. I remember the Nemo one, like
Oh
with a lot of detail.
yeah.
But it was all animated, no?
No, it's actual water.
Yeah, it's actual water, but like I
Yeah, the
remember seeing Nemo and
yeah,
Dory.
yeah,
That
yeah.
wasn't Nemo and
Yeah,
Dory.
of course, that's
But yeah,
animated.
I remember like going in the submarine and
Yeah.
then like looking at the windows,
Yeah.
and I was with him in the Nemo ride. I was sitting with him, and it was like a movie, or I don't know what was happening, but it had like the little windows, and I just remember like being there in the company and like
Mm.
being amazed that I was actually seeing Nemo and
Well,
Dory like in real time. And I think that's where we took that picture, right?
Yep,
Right outside it or
I think so.
before
I
or
don't
something like
know.
that.
But we took that picture.
We have another
Mm.
picture of him. We were also in Disney, but it's just him kind of like standing on the rail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um that was a good memory. And again, he brought four girls who weren't his own.
And look at him carrying that diaper bag.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, gentlemen.
Yeah, he was
Mhm.
he was a good dad. And even when after we left, I don't know if you remember this, but I really wanted these Mickey ears. Like I look, let's be told, I knew dad loved me in a way like again, I just knew that like I wouldn't say I'm his favorite, but I had a little bit more of a favor to
I
him. I
guess.
had a little bit more of a favor. I knew how to work him just a little bit, just a little bit. I had a little bit more of a tug. But listen, I remember I really wanted these Mickey ears. We were leaving the park, and I really, really wanted these Mickey ears. But mom, and he was gonna buy it to me too, but he only had like a certain amount. It was either buy Mickey ears or buy all of us these lollipops that were Mickey shaped.
The colorful ones?
Yes, the colorful ones.
Uh-huh.
And so it was either buy all the girls one of those lollipops or buy Daisy the Mickey ears. And he was gonna go for the Mickey ears. But mom was like, it's not fair, blah 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 blah. So he ended up just buying all of us lollipops. And I was so upset. I was so upset.
Sucker. I'm just kidding.
I was so upset.
Yeah, he loved me more. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
We bought us all the
Lollipops.
lollipops. Yeah. So
I
that
don't
was a good
remember that.
memory.
I do remember like seeing them, like the colorful ones, but I don't remember him giving me it.
Yeah. Well, he bought all of us. But that was a good memory. That was it just shows again, it just shows the type of person he was, the character he was
And he
like,
was so like he loved music.
oh, he
I don't
loved
know if you
music.
remember, he used to do his little crib dance
Mhm.
in the
Oh yeah,
living
he
room.
knew how to dance.
Yeah, he
Mhm.
would get up
And
and
Tupac was his favorite. Put some Tupac on, put Dear Mama. Oh,
that
oh, he loved Tupac, which is where I get my love for Tupac. Where we
yeah
get our love for Tupac. I just yeah, it just brings back so much memories.
that and that whole like I like we said, like the lowriders, like
Mhm.
that old school, like well, him and my mom, the one thing that they had in common that were they both like the Pachuco era,
Mhm.
with like how the guys would dress up in like the high pants, the long chains, the hats with the feathers, like
Yeah.
very like cultured, like,
Yeah.
and my mom wanted like yeah, that's where it came from, both of them, both of them, both of them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's crazy. So we shared a lot of good memories about dad. I think we, for the viewers, could sense the type of person he was, the type of individual he
The
was.
kind of father he was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But obviously, this podcast is losing a loved one.
Mhm.
And so we only had dad for a year.
I would say less.
Probably, yeah, probably less than a year.
Mhm.
But in that short time, man, he made such an impact on those four girls. Well, those two girls who remember it. The two
Mhm.
younger ones were too young, but for us two, he made such a huge impact. And we just wanted to bring justice into, shine a light, his light that he left behind us. And let's get into his passing.
Do you remember the morning of? Or do you remember the incident the night before his passing?
No.
So, I do.
Okay.
Basically, we painted the good pictures,
Mhm.
okay, the good memories, a great father. But this is where you were a great father, but you weren't a great partner
Mhm.
comes in. Well, obviously, we were just seeing things from a child's perspective and a father. So to us, great, 10 out of 10, amazing, you know. But from my mom's perspective, it wasn't all lollipops and rainbows. And obviously, with the addiction too, it was hard.
Mhm.
But mom and him were arguing, mind you, or just like a side note, at this point, we already mentioned that it was 2011.
Mhm.
Mentioned we were in Tustin. At this point of his passing, like in the timeline, it was 2011. They were engaged.
Mhm.
I kind of want to touch on that before we get into the actual situation and what led to it. Um, but our dad had proposed to our mom.
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember it, but I remember being so happy. We had already had Halloween with him. I don't remember Thanksgiving much, but I remember it being like close to Christmas, and he had proposed. She had said yes, and I was so excited and happy because I've always wanted to be a flower girl.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember at like our foster home, I even like would dress up as a flower girl for Halloween because I always wanted to like to be that.
Mhm.
And I remember I told him, I was like, oh my God, can I be the flower girl? Am I gonna be the flower girl? He was like, yeah, yes you are. He was like, you and baby girl A. And I was like, I was just so ecstatic, and I remember in my brain, like I was like, yes, like little girl me, I was just like, I'm finally gonna have like a Christmas
Yeah.
with a family. Because mind you, like we had been in the system, we just got back with our mom. This is
Mhm.
the first time that I thought I was gonna spend a Christmas with mom, dad,
Mhm.
and
My
my
sisters.
sisters. Like
Yeah.
I was, and then they're getting married. Like my world felt
Complete.
so perfect,
Yeah.
not knowing and not seeing the severity of things. But so keep that in mind. However, the day before the passing or his passing, mom, oh yeah, okay, so scratch that. But basically, after the engagement, everything, or no, after they got engaged, everything seemed to be looking good. Mom and him had issues when it pertained to his baby mama, because like we said, we were not his children.
Mhm.
He had baby girl A, and he also at the time had two twins with his baby mama, and he would go back and forth from Tustin to Compton or like LA, and to go visit, right? Mom was, I'm pretty sure she felt some type of way, but he did have two boys or
Mhm.
two twins. So, she would let him go, but the issue was is him coming back hickeyed up,
Mhm.
and I don't know, probably got glitter on him, smelling like perfume something, but mom said like he would come back with hickeys. Mom had enough because, as we mentioned, mom met him as a stranger. She didn't know him. She saw him in the car with the little girl, and she felt for him, and she decided to bring him in. They
Mhm.
ended up falling in love. They were already in the same household. So not only did she open her home, but she also opened her heart to this man that
Mhm.
is, in a sense, taking advantage of the kindness and is going back, indulging in that other relationship and then coming home to my mom. Like, that was just like, nah.
Mhm.
And the way my mom is very like, okay, like, she tells him, I'm like, let's break up because I don't want to get to a point where I start hating you. I
Mhm.
don't want to hate you. I have so much love for you that I would much rather call it now and us go our separate ways than to continue trying to where it gets to a point where I hate you and there's nothing, like it's dead. So he had agreed because he thought he was big shit. And mom was like, all right, cool. Mind you, they were still living together. At that point, because they were engaged, they were sleeping in the room
Mhm.
together. And then we kind of got our two rooms back. And then, but when that happened, he started staying in one of our rooms with his daughter. And then all four of us got back in our one room, and my mom was in hers. And she told him, like, the next day, she was like, I'm gonna go on a date. And I'm just letting you know, like, don't be tripping if you get home and you see someone there. Like, we
Yeah.
already agreed this is, you want to be doing that. Okay, cool. I'm ending this now. I'm letting it be known. And my mom, our mom has been very honest. She could be very blunt, and I feel like that's how she left things with him.
Mhm.
Boom, that night comes. She's having her date. She is on the couch with this man that she's on a date with. He's sitting down. And mom, I don't know if you remember the couch, but this wasn't here. It was just like a full couch.
Yeah.
And she was kind of like laid on him. So her head was on his lap. The TV was right here. So they were just like cuddling, chilling, whatever. Dad comes in.
Mm.
So when dad comes in, mom says that you can kind of like already feel like his, like that, like,
Demeanor.
yeah, like, what the fuck? Like, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
who is this in my house? Like, but mom was like, she knew, like, but you can't trip, so it is what it is. Fast forward, Benny ends up telling the guy, like, hey, can I talk to you outside? So they went outside, and mom said that she overheard him say, like, oh, like, she's a good woman or something. I don't, she's a good woman, so take care of her, something like that, something along those
Okay.
lines. I believe the guy ends up leaving because the next morning is when we get woken up to breakfast. So
Mm.
I'm assuming maybe that night, now that he saw that my mom was like, okay, the
Moving
same way
on.
you can
Yeah.
go and do this and mess up and fuck around is the same way I'm gonna be doing my own stuff, except I'm gonna be honest about it and I'm gonna let you know. And he didn't like that. He got a taste of his own medicine. He's seen like his household, his family. Maybe he felt intimidated or
Mhm.
like something was coming in between, something good.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm assuming things they made up, I don't know. The next morning we get woken up to the smell of
Yeah.
breakfast. That was rare.
Mhm.
That was rare because, like I said, like, our eating conditions, how my mom was, her priorities, I feel like he would more so buy us stuff, but never did it. I don't think that we ever had that, like, household family dinner. Like, I
Yeah.
think that was our first family breakfast. Do you remember that part going forward?
I don't remember the story that you just shared. I do remember, like, to touch base, like, again, I had said, like, a lot of people were accusing him and his character and, like, his intentions with us. Um, so I do remember, like, before he passed away, I'd woken up late for school. You guys were already gone because the daycare lady had actually taken you to school. And I'd woken up late and he was there at the house, and I was like, okay, I gotta go. So he walked me out, And I remember him stopping me and looking me in the eyes and just going, "You know, I would never hurt you, right? Like, you
Mm.
know that I would never do anything to hurt you, right?" And I just like looked at him and I was just kind of like, "Where is this coming from? Like, what the heck?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, of course." And he's like, "Okay, I just want to let you know that I would never hurt you." And so he gave me $10 and he said, "Buy whatever you want." And he's like, "Get your sister something." I'm gonna be honest, I didn't get Wendy shit.
Oh.
I ain't get you shit.
Oh
But
wow.
yeah, I have to be honest about that. But that's the memory that I have. So I don't remember him like moms and the relationship and all that stuff.
Um,
That date. But breakfast, I do remember. Actually, I don't remember much of like breakfast. I just remember getting woken up by breakfast. We Everything was good, and then he kind of left. He left the house.
that's what you remember?
Yeah, I remember he leaving the house. He made us breakfast. I don't know if him and mom got into it. I don't know what it was, but he left. And then when he came back,
So before you say that, I
okay,
I thought you knew, like you remembered. I remember that shit like yesterday.
home.
Um, Basically that morning, like I said, they probably made things up the night before or made up, and then the morning of, we wake up to breakfast, and it's just like a different feeling to the house. Like it was like family. Like, oh my god, like I said, we were starved, so breakfast, like, what do you mean? Not only do we get scraps and nothing, but now we get like a full meal,
Yeah.
and this loved one is making it for us. My mom's over there smiling.
Mhm.
um so we had breakfast together. It was great. It kind of, right now y'all can't see because the blinds are closed, but it was a day like this. It was gloomy. um and we're all sitting at the dining table. Boom, breakfast is done. Dad and mom go into the room. um they go into the room. Mom's fixing up the bedroom while he goes to the shower. He's in the shower, and like we mentioned, they're both addicts. Dad was to a point where, in the too deep in the addiction, to the point where maybe if we do some research we can be more punctual with it. But basically, when you have been consuming drugs, like, I don't know if it's more and more kind of like a tolerance buildup, or it becomes a tolerance buildup and you start doing more and more and more, and it reaches to a point to your brain where you do too much, where you can start seeing things that aren't there.
Hallucinating.
Oh, there you go, hallucinating. And so he was showering. A little background was, my dad, or our dad, had history in and out of jails from a very young age.
Mm.
um I found out when I was a lot older, about even when he was 17, he was already getting caught up with stuff. He already had a record, and serious things. And not only that, but he was also affiliated in gangs, also with our mom, was the same thing. So,
So
brain fart.
so he was affiliated with
Oh
gangs.
yeah,
You were
yeah.
talking about the shower.
So, with all of that being said,
Mhm.
he was already a two striker.
Okay.
He was a two striker, and he had, like, they were, I don't know if it was because he was a two striker that they were looking for him, but
He had a warrant for
basically,
his
there
arrest.
you go. So they were like looking for him because of him hallucinating.
Hallucinating, yeah.
Hallucinating. He was showering and he started seeing cameras in the shower,
Mm.
and he starts tripping out. Mind you, our mom is in the room, but she's pinning something against the. I really can't believe you don't remember this. She's pinning something against the window, like maybe like a curtain or something. Because do you remember her room? How she had like these, like this awkward window. It was really
Yeah.
small, but it was like on the wall. And she was pinning that up. He's in the shower. The door is open in the living room, because you know how their bedroom and the
Mhm.
living room was like right there. You would open their master bedroom, leaving their room, you would open it, and then it was the living room. So
Mhm.
that door was open, but the shower
Door.
bathroom one was
Yeah.
closed. And all of a sudden, he starts tripping out. He's like, "Oh, you like you're recording me. You're trying to send me in, like." And mind you, my mom was like, "What are you talking about? Like, what cameras are you talking about?" But he was so far gone, so lost, that he wasn't even here anymore.
Mm.
That's when he gets out the shower. We're watching TV or something. We're all in the living room because, like I said, we were all happy. We had our tummies were full. We felt like family was back. And mind you, this was December 11th. No, December 17th.
17th.
Yeah, December 17th in the morning. And he gets out of the shower, he closes the door. We're all in the living room. So I see it, but it's nothing normal cuz like I said, like usually when the door would close, I didn't know, but she knew either something was happening when it comes to substances or they were just having their time, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so that was normal. He shuts the door, and all of a sudden, I remember hearing mom screams. I remember like her yelling for help, but obviously the door was closed, so I didn't know. To fill in this gap later on, mom ends up telling me the story because I asked, and she says that basically she was pinning something on the wall and he came behind her. She was like on something. He basically knocked her out, not knocked her out, but like knocked her off of whatever she was standing on, hit her on the side of the head, which, if anyone knows, this area right here is very sensitive, but you can knock someone out right there. And basically, he hits her, and she falls. She goes onto the bed, and she's in kind of like a whatever this position is, like fetal
Yeah.
position. And she's like kind of like rolled up on the bed, on top of the bed, and she's like trying to cover her neck and her head from his punches. Like, what she told me was like when she looked in his eyes, that was no longer dad.
So like he was in a frenzy. Like
That's
he
what I'm
was
saying. He
so
was so
hallucinated.
gone.
Yeah.
And mom will even say it when she's here, but she told me, she was like, that was not your dad. Whoever that was would have killed me had the next situations not happened. So when
Mm.
that was happening and he closed the door, he locked the door, and that's when I start hearing, or we start hearing, mom screaming and crying. And it was so much so, mind you, we're used to pains, we're used to screams, we're used to mom getting abused by her partners, but this was different. Like, to me, it was because we acted like, that's what I'm saying. I can't believe you don't remember, but you remember dad used to outgrow his pinky
Mhm.
because the doors at at that time, like, they were so easy to open. It was those like where you can open it with a penny. Anything like
Yeah.
small or like your nail, you could just and then it was like unlocked. So we went to the kitchen, we got butter knives, and because that was like the closest that we could get, we didn't have our nails. And we opened the room, and I remember we were trying to open it while I'm hearing mom screaming. We're trying to open the door, and when we finally feel like, and I felt so accomplished yet so defeated at the same time, like I thought I opened the door, like we finally like unlocked it, and we're gonna go tell him to stop because we knew he would never hit us. That's the thing about our dad. He would never put his hands on us. Like I said, like he would fake hit us, or at least
Mhm.
me. Like he would never put his hands on us. But when it came to our mom, they were both violent towards each other. So I'm thinking we're finally opening it, and if we get in between them, he was gonna stop. He wasn't gonna hit us. So I'm feeling so accomplished, like, oh my god, I'm like, we're gonna save her, to realizing that he had finished beating her and he was the one that unlocked the door. So when I thought we unlocked it, it was actually him, and it was like a feeling of like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Like, too
Mm.
late. After that, that's when he storms out of the room,
Mhm.
and we're kind of just like standing back, and mom and him are yelling. Mom comes out of the room, she's pissed. She takes off the wedding ring.
Oh.
Dad used to have this thing where he would break phones. We
Mhm.
had a house phone, we had mom's cell phone, we had your cell phone.
Mhm.
And I think he would do that in a way to control and hush, like for us not to be able to call the police. He would break phones, but mom, this wasn't the first time it would happen. So mom had hidden one that he didn't know about. And when she took off the ring, she was like, no, like basically like I'm done, da da da. He had this like navy blue hoodie, his loose cholo fitting jeans, and I remember he went into the kitchen, was grabbing trash bags, and he put all like the clothes in, or most whatever he could get. And I remember he as he was like in and out of the room like packing stuff, they were arguing. I remember mom sitting on the dinner table, and I don't know if you remember, but there was like a sliding door, which is
Mhm.
why I remember the weather so vividly, was because I have this like memory of her side profile, like she's sitting on the table and I'm staring at her, and I could see like it was gloomy. I was confused, like I was just like distraught. I don't know. And I remember mom saying like I'm gonna call the police, like I'm gonna call the police, like get out, get out. And he said some really hurtful things. He was like, okay, well then call the police. Like, how are you gonna call the police? Mind you, he didn't know about the phone. He's like, how are you gonna call the police? Like, and he would say like, I would say like he would do that to intimidate my mom,
Mm.
but then he would go on to say like, who's gonna want you with 4 kids? And my mom would just sit there. She'd be like, okay, well I'm gonna call the police. I'm gonna call the police. Um, he got tired, or maybe not tired, but he got finished packing whatever he was packing, and he left the apartment. He got up and left. He walked out. As he was walking out, mom is telling us to put our shoes on and to go chase him. Do you remember that?
Mm-mm.
You don't remember chasing him?
Mm-mm.
So, wow.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it all goes down to, I feel like because I'm again the oldest and a
Mhm.
lot of I like remember so much of the trauma. I feel like my brain has blocked out huge portions of what we went through to protect myself. So like just there are some things like okay, the shower like yeah, it does bring like now it fills in the gaps because I don't remember anything. I didn't remember anything up until the point like where you said that he cooked us breakfast. That's all I remember because I remember him leaving and then him coming back and then him screaming at mom and they locked themselves in and then that's when everything went down.
I have a question that you guys may not understand, but last year for his passing, on my story, I kind of posted kind of like a story in a
Mhm.
way, like I was posting it as it was happening
Mhm.
years ago. So like in the morning I was like, today I woke up and I was met with like the smell of breakfast and da da da.
Mhm.
And then the next video was like, and then we lost sight of you, literally. Like we didn't know who you were. It wasn't you behind those
Mhm.
eyes. And then the next pic, like, so all of that I posted, did it not like, since
Trigger something in
not
me?
trigger, but did you, since you say like you don't remember, did that not like, oh, that happened? Like, did you understand what I was doing, or because you didn't know those gaps, you were just
I
like,
I think I did know those gaps subconsciously. I just don't think that my brain allowed it to like fill in the gaps. Because I think I just remember the traumatic portion of it.
mm-hmm,
And everything else is kind of like hazy to me.
the
Like
beforehand?
yeah, like you are filling in the gaps to me as we speak. I can't remember this.
Well, so yeah, so when he leaves, he tells us, and mind you, we talked about this, or this is how you could see it's a cycle. In the
Yeah.
first episode, we talked about how you were chasing that one, our baby
Yeah.
sisters,
Uh-huh.
down the alley with glass and stuff, and here it's happening again.
Mhm.
So she tells us to go chase him. Mom was the type, at least to my perspective, it felt like she loved him, but she didn't maybe want to beg him, so she
Mhm.
would send us, you know,
Yeah.
because she knew like he loved us and he would probably like,
Come
stay.
back, yeah.
So we start. I remember I just slid my shoes in, Because, like I said, at that time, in my heart, in my brain, it was like, oh my God, I'm finally gonna have my happy ever after, my
Yeah.
family, my Christmas. Like, it was so close. So we put our shoes on, like half on, and we were running. We were running,
Yeah.
running, running. The way that those apartments are, I hope that, I'm pretty sure on Google Maps, if I find the apartments, we could put like a picture of what I'm talking about because it's so vivid in my brain. The street outside, like right outside of our apartment, it
It's,
was straight, but it would also curve. And right when it would curve, there was like that, like those walls where the freeways are.
mhm.
Um, so it was like a wall dividing the street and the freeway. So in that curve, he's already kind of walking. He already walked all the straight part. He was already kind of like turning. And once you turn, keep walking, and then I we kind of lose sight from the apartment. So we're running. He's already there, and he has his bags. He took my mom's rings. Before he left, he broke the phones. My mom, at this time, I'm assuming while we're running, either she had already called. No, she had already called the police,
Mhm.
and she had told him, and I think that's why he hurried up and left and only got the stuff that he got, because she told him, like, I already called the police, like, you need to go because they will be coming. And like I said, there was already a warrant. He was a two striker. There was already history. Like, he knew you had to go, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think that's what led him to just pack the little bit that he had. He left. And as he was leaving and disappearing from the street, I remember very well.
Mhm.
That's why I asked you earlier if you remembered his last look. But I remember when he was walking like away, he gave me this look. So he's walking and he kind of like turns over at us. And the face that he's giving is like, if I can translate his look into words, it was very like, it's okay. Like, it was very like ahorita te veo, mija. Like, very like,
I'll see you right now, daughter.
yeah, like I was like, it'll be fine. Like, this is just another like fight.
Mhm.
And that was it. We didn't catch up to him. We stopped running. I don't know if it was because like our shoes were not fully on, or he was too far, but we stopped once we couldn't see him anymore. And then we went back home. And after that, I don't remember. Like, I remember the news, but like what had happened, I don't.
That's crazy. Yeah. See, I don't remember anything of that. I remember I had told mom, like, did I run after him? And maybe that was my brain trying to like reconnect those lines because I remember. See, I'm telling you, it's just like I thought he had left and came back. Maybe that's my brain
No, he
thinking,
was coming back when this situation happened. He left,
uh huh.
and then he was coming back to apologize. That's why he was a block
No, I
away.
wasn't talking about that.
Oh, no, no.
I was talking about, I thought my brain was like he left after that morning, came back. I don't know why I'm telling you, I think it's just the trauma of it that
Mm-hmm.
your brain's trying to make you believe certain events so that it doesn't like trigger something deeper into you. Because a lot of the times, if you remember everything that you've gone through, it could really lead you down something
It really can.
like through really deep depression. It could trigger something health response like, and your brain does it so that none of that, or put you into shock, which could lead you to go into a coma. Like, your brain really does do everything in its power to shelter you and protect you from traumatic events. So for me, it's like I just remember, I don't know why my brain put it as he left after that morning, he came back, and then him and mom were fighting, because I remember the screaming aspect of it, but I didn't know that it was because he was home the entire time. My brain was like he left and then he came back and then they got into a fight. I didn't know what it was about, but I knew that they were fighting, and I remember the screaming. I remember him, and that's why I asked mom, because it's like something in my brain was telling me that I did run after him. Like, why do I have that sense of like I ran after him but mom told me I didn't. And I was just like,
No, we
she was the
did.
wrong person to ask. I'm asking a 30 something year old who's stuck in a 20-year-old head. Like, I should have asked you.
Yeah, no,
Um,
we ran.
but I remember him opening the door and giving me that last look. He gave me one last look, but maybe it was my brain not letting me remember the second last look.
Because you said that you remembered just his eyes, and I
I
remember
remember his
everything in
eyes.
detail, including the weather, because it was like that. Literally, it felt like my brain photographed it professionally, and like the backdrop was like this gloomy sky, and it was gloomy, like that was the weather.
Mm,
But I remember
yeah.
his face was like something about it was very reassuring,
Mhm.
and I feel like maybe that's why I stopped running, because it was like it felt like it was one of those like it's just another fight. Like I'll be back. Like it's okay. Like very reassuring, very comforting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember his eyes because they just seemed very hollow to me, like the person behind the dad that I knew and grew up like had for a couple months, like he wasn't there. And wow, that's crazy about the running after him. So I did run after him. I'm telling you, your brain, I will do some research and put it up here kind of like I did with episode 2. Um it's just amazing how our body reacts to trauma and how it does everything in its power to protect you and um, type of shield you from certain events so that you
Mm-hmm.
don't spiral out of control.
All right, sister. So now we're moving into the more harder part.
Hmm.
So boom, he leaves,
We're
and
chasing after him.
then we get a knock at the door. Do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, so we get a knock at the door, and every time that I tell this story, because for my job, I go out and I speak on our story, and I kind of just advocate for our youth. And also bring awareness to our parents too about like just the effects that it has on your children. So every time I tell this story, it's like I'm back in that timeline, and I will never forget this. Mom was crying. Everything happened. Um we hear it was in the afternoon. We hear three knocks on the door, and when that door opens, I come I'm behind mom, and we come face to face with two police officers. The police officers basically tell mom like, "Are you the one who called 911?" She says yes. Um, the police officers then tell her, "Ma'am, we regret to inform you, but he made it seem like he had a weapon, and the officers had no option but to shoot." And I remember mom like hysterically crying, and I dropped down to my knees because I understood what that meant. And I cried so hard that day. And my mom had actually called his parents to let them know that like she had called the cops. So they drove down from LA, and they were in the parking lot cuz they weren't inside the house. They were in the parking lot waiting when the police showed. So then mom went and basically let them know that dad had passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And I have never cried until I like as hard as I did that day. But it was so fast, sister. It was like one moment he was there, and then the next moment he was gone. And it's like I just lost like instantly someone just like that. Do you remember anything that happened that day?
I remember them coming in, the
Mhm.
officers, and them telling mom to put us in a different room.
Okay.
She moved us into, or she put us in her room, and I remember I was so just crazy, but I was so happy because we never got to be in her room.
Mhm.
And I remember jumping on like the bed, and she put I think like SpongeBob or something on, and I remember someone opening the door to our room, like the officers talking to her. She closed the room in her bedroom, and we were in it. I
Yeah.
don't know if you had gotten up to open the door to see what was going on, but the thing was, I remember the door being open, like someone opening it, and then hearing like mom's, just like her yells of like, he's dead, like he's gone, just repeating it over and over.
Wow.
And her crying, you right by her. Our sisters were just kind of just standing there. They didn't know.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't understand.
Yeah. That's crazy cuz yeah, I just remember like I said, I the moment that that door opened, the moment that those officers showed up, the moment that they simply just uttered they had no option but to choose that, like to shoot, that he made it seem like he had a weapon. It was so crazy to me because it was just like I knew instantly what that meant, like that he didn't make it.
Mhm.
So those were the days. Like it doesn't have that much details because honestly that's all I remember.
I do remember the part where you were saying about his dad and his parents in the parking lot.
Yeah,
They were in on our parking spot,
in our
huh?
parking spot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I remember them at the edge of like the troca that they
Mhm.
had, the truck, and they didn't show much emotion. They
No.
didn't show hardly any emotion. And when I was older, I was asking my mom about this specific time,
Mhm.
and she told me that they were very much like this was the route he was going to. Like, basically, a very it is what it is kind of vibe.
And it's sad that they thought that. Like I understand um like constantly feeling disappointed or let down by your child, like, but no one ever asked like why did you choose this path, why are you hanging around the wrong crowd, like there's a reason. And sadly for us, like we'll never get to know why dad started getting into trouble at such a young age or why he started to do the things that he did. But I saw this one thing that trauma explains the behavior. It doesn't, like, it doesn't excuse the behavior, but it does explain the behavior. Like no one ever asks why. Like why. I just work with like so many individuals and I hear different kids and their stories and it's like they don't want to act out. But sadly like they make choices or they do things because out of survival, out of because that's all they know, out of like
Or a chain
or
reaction.
a chain reaction, but like no one ever stops to love these kids. And kind of like even what you said right now, his parents' reaction were just kind of like, no, we knew it was gonna like bound to happen. Like,
And it makes it worse. Maybe in his situation, maybe that's why, because he told mom, like, his family didn't care for him.
and people know that.
Yeah.
Kids will know when you do not care for them. And that's sad. Like thinking, leaving this world thinking no one ever cared for me. My family never cared for me.
He had people that did. He had a,
Yeah.
like we mentioned, he was in gangs or in a gang, and he had a hood mom. That's like a term for a motherly figure that is like in the street that will kind of like adopt you, kind of, but not really adopt you. They'll just like take care of you like a mother, but in the hood. So that's what a hood mother is, or a hood mom. So he had one of those,
Yeah.
and he brought us around. And I feel like he knew that he did. He knew that his family didn't care about him,
Mhm.
but he had people. Were they good? Good examples? Probably not, but he had people that he made his family, basically. He made his
Yeah.
family out on the street.
But that's the thing. It's like you find love not within family, you'll find it somewhere else.
Hmm.
If you don't get that love, you'll find it somewhere else. And sadly, some of the times, like, you get love from people who aren't blood related to you, but they show you something else. And it's like that becomes your new normal.
Hmm.
That's their form of love. So it's just sad. Um, but let's fast forward. let's fast forward a little bit now that we're adults, that we understand the gravitive, like the weight of his death. You went through a deep dive, and there's gonna be articles that we're gonna post on here, images that we're gonna post on here, but you went on a deep dive.
Yeah, so fun fact, before we used this channel for this podcast, it was originally my sister's.
Yes.
She was doing like solo videos,
That have
talk.
long since been deleted.
Do you want to touch base on like
Yeah,
what?
no. I started this YouTube channel. I could have sworn I was gonna be a huge YouTuber by now, and I think if I would have kept it going, especially during COVID, I think I would have. I think I would have been really good. Um, but looking back, I did just some cringe names trying to hide people's identities, and I got bullied into stopping my YouTube channel.
But what was it?
It
Talk a little bit
was
about what it
it
was.
was about just sharing my life story, like my point of view, like everything that we're sharing here basically. But I
Just
start
you.
but just me, and I started from the beginning, like from 7 years old to now, whereas ours is a little bit different because we tend to jump here and there and we share different point of views, and there's not like we're not starting from a specific time, like at 7 years old we went through this, and at 10 years old, like our channel is based on like different topics that
Mhm.
we kind of
Versus a timeline.
versus a timeline, exactly. So yeah, the fun fact that this channel used to be mine, and um I stopped doing it because, like I said, I got bullied into stop doing it. And you know what, I was 17 years old when I started this, and I think I'll be straight up and honest because I'm now a almost 24-year-old and I'm an adult. If the shoe fits, then wear it,
And it is
because
what it is.
it is what it is. And if I don't say no names on here, we don't say no names on here.
Your conscience will let you know. If your conscience dings a little, then it's you. So wear the shoe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just um, but that's it. Like it's just it stopped. I stopped, and so now that I'm much older, and I don't let anyone tell me to stop sharing what I went through, what I experienced, what we lived through. You can maybe tell me to stop talking if it's just me, myself, and I. But when you're hearing it from two different people, two different stories, two different point of views, the same timeline, you kind of can't say, "Oh, but there's no telling us that it's fake."
Yeah.
So, great.
So that was like the backstory with the YouTube. She
Yeah.
had made a YouTube that was titled The Death of My Hero. And
Gosh, you remember the title and everything?
at this
He
time
was my hero.
we were no longer living with each other in the system. We'll get into that at a different topic. But we were no
Yes.
longer living with each other, and we were basically like
We had separated.
always,
Yeah,
yeah.
we had just to give a quick little backstory, like me and Wendy, our two younger sisters were put in a foster care, then they were then later adopted by their side of the family. Me and Wendy bounced from foster home to foster home together, and at some point in our lives, which will be a different podcast, we I chose to separate from Wendy. Um so
So,
that's how I did my own solo YouTube channels, and she had no part of it. So
mhm.
yeah, continue, sorry.
So I was watching it as it came out. And
Really?
I remember when that one came out. Um, of course, I was curious, like I wanted to see and hear her POV. But honestly, I only knew our dad as Dad or Benny, right?
Mm,
I didn't know his last name. I didn't know really anything besides the memories, and that's it because we didn't have records, papers, anything because he
mhm,
wasn't our bio
mhm,
father. So it was really difficult. He's alive in our memories or because of our memories, and any other information is by the grace of God.
mm,
And I believe, like you said, like because of people kind of like trying to hush you, and that is what made you stop. I feel like everything happens for a reason because before you deleted all those things, I was watching it and I got curious and decided to look at the comments.
okay.
So I was looking at the comments there was someone in all caps. Someone had put, they were leaving their like
2 cents.
they were leaving their 2 cents, and there was someone that had said like, "Oh, I'm sorry for your loss. Like, rest in peace," and in big words, Benny Herrera. So when I saw that, I was like, "Ding, ding, ding!" And your girl started googling. I started looking.
She
And
became
mind
an
you,
FBI without the credentials and the
I
badge.
don't need the credentials. Yeah. So at that point, I was in a foster home that I didn't like. I didn't feel safe and I didn't feel comfortable.
Mhm.
And he was someone so special and so sacred to me. I didn't want to share it with anyone. I didn't want
Mhm.
to share what I learned, what I had seen. So, and at that house, there was a rule where you couldn't bring electronics upstairs to the bedrooms.
Okay.
I didn't care. I was on a mission. So I brought it upstairs and I start searching his name. And all of a sudden, I get this LA Times article. My
Mhm.
sister will be putting pictures.
Yes, of
So
the
as
different
we speak,
articles.
you guys could kind of see what I was seeing. And the first headline that I read was LA Times, and it was officer gives man less than a second to react before fatally shooting him. The fact that I have that
Engraved.
engraved in my brain was, I was like, what do you mean? Like, I had remembered the officer saying he had something, and as self defense,
Mhm.
we had to do what we had to do. And mind you,
Okay.
I was upset at him for a long time up until I found out like the actual news, because I thought that was so selfish.
Mhm.
I thought, cuz another back round or like knowledge thing,
Yeah.
mom had told me when I was older that a couple nights, either a couple nights before he passed or the night before he passed, when they were making up or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
he had made my mom rehearse what he wanted his funeral to look like. He wanted like a Dracula style
Coffin.
coffin, what he wanted to be dressed in. And he had also said that the way he wanted to go out was to go at it with the cops.
Mhm.
Fast forward, how did he die? And literally it was nights before. So in my head, like, he passed 2011, December 17th. So many things happened directly after. I was confused, but when it came to him, I was upset because it's like, after my mom told me that, it's like, so you knew what you were doing. And you knew that if you did that, if you acted, or if you, at that time, I still had the idea that he had something on him, and the officers, they did what they had to do, which was protect themselves. Like, I was just so mad, and I was like, that's such a selfish thing.
Like a
Like,
coward way to go out.
not even coward, but just
I call it coward.
you, I say selfish because you left these four girls. And
Yeah.
mind you, at that time, I'm thinking you did this to yourself
Yeah.
and you did this to us. So for a long time, I was upset. I thought he was selfish. I loved him still, but there was just still something in me was just like, you had a choice and you chose to react that way. And
Mhm.
because of your reaction, there's an action, and the consequences, you being gone and us not having a dad anymore. Us not experiencing that love, that protection, that what we needed as girls growing up.
Mhm.
And so when I found that article, my brain, like, I felt, I was so confused. I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And I remember, you put them on the side, right?
Yeah.
I remember I was in my room by myself. Y'all, this concealer costs too much to let this these tears mess it up. No,
I
no,
don't know if
no.
you guys can tell, but Wendy, this is why we say we're polar opposites. Wendy's very in tune with her
I
emotions.
am.
I've learned through therapy that I don't show my emotions as a way to like protect myself and to really. I was never allowed to show my emotions, so I'm more calm and zen,
Mhm.
and Wendy expresses her love and feelings through her emotions, and I just want to say, Wendy, like, again, I say it all the time in the podcast, you being so vulnerable, so open to your tears and not being ashamed, because we can cut it at any point, like you
Yeah.
say cut, like to like, get yourself back, but I just find it vulnerable and just strong that you're capable of sitting here and being full-heartedly like yourself. So
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too. But
So you were upset, you were angry with him, you had this idea that he just
before
abandoned you.
before, yeah.
Yeah, I feel that too.
And then I was in my room, like I said, I was in my room by myself. It was
Mhm.
nighttime, and I just started going.
Mhm.
The headline caught me off guard. I was like, okay, so what do you mean gave a man less than a second?
Mhm.
And I just remember like I was crying and I was just like, no. Like I was just like, no, no, like not you. It's not fair. Like everything just started like it connected.
Mhm.
And I feel like in our story, in our life, or at least for me, like everything good never lasts for me. Like I get
Mhm.
blessed and I get this experience that I've always wanted of having a father, of being loved, of feeling protected and
Yeah.
seen and validated, and a family. And like I said, like it was gonna be Christmas and
Mhm.
everything was getting into play, and then to be lied to, and then I felt the guilt of being upset at him, of thinking he was selfish, and then like realizing like the system, the police, they lied, and it was all a lie, and they were selfish for coming to our faces as a family of four girls. Like it was just so many layers to that lie, to that thing, and to find out years later and to be carrying that those negative thoughts towards someone that I wholeheartedly love was something so evil,
Mhm.
something so hard. And I went, the thing about me is like, I guess because I didn't know what to believe anymore, I wanted to do the hurt. I wanted to do the research. I wanted to find everything, and I did.
Mhm.
I went so far into researching about what happened, and figuring out the street it happened, just to make sure that this was a correct article, and then going off of my memory. And I stumbled upon the last seconds, the footage of the last seconds of him before they shot him. I figured out the times of when both gunshots punctured his skin. I found out the area of where it went, how many officers were involved, and all that. Like, oh, it hit me so hard. And I was just like, no. Like, I was in such disbelief. Like, I always say, like, when someone passes, it's a hard thing, but I
Mhm.
feel like it's a little bit easier when it's something that's like
Out of your
you had
control.
no control.
Mhm.
And to feel like I thought it was the opposite, that you had full control, that you just didn't care. And like I said, like everything good in our life, or at least for me speaking from me, it never lasted. And that was the one person that seen us, the one person that never like hurt us, a father that I never had. And even now, like my friends, people that come into contact with me, like I, no one tops him. No one, like
Mhm.
the way I carry myself, or the teachings that he had like taught us, like all of that I carry with me, and I walk as if he's still here. So it's like I don't know, that whole downfall, that whole unpacking, it was like it was terrifying, but it was also after like I guess rewarding because I knew the truth now.
Mhm.
I didn't know.
Mhm.
Like everything that the officer had said, everything that I had remembered, I chucked it out the window if it wasn't something that I myself had seen or I
Mhm.
myself had heard.
Yeah. Uh, I you said something and again, you're just more so much more in tuned and I feel like I have such a hard time like crying in front of people. Um so you just saying everything is like it's puncturing my heart because you say that nothing good ever lasts for you, right? And maybe it's just you. It's not just you. Like I have that exact same feeling of like nothing good. Like the moment I always have like I feel like everything's good and then in the back of my head it's like I'm preparing for something. Like nothing's always this good.
Mhm.
Like there's always something, some news, somebody who's going to reappear, someone who's going to hurt me. Like there's always something for me to just be like tensed at, right?
Mhm.
And I truly believe like nothing nothing ever lasts forever and it's that verse is from one of my favorite songs, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. And I have it tattooed on the side of my neck now. And I wanted that lyric tattooed because in a way it's like remembrance of him that nothing good does ever last forever. But we do deeply cherish every moment that we had with him and like you said, his memory lives on because we share him to to ourselves. We keep him alive. We constantly just bring him like through conversations like not so long ago I had actually no the first time that I've ever cried deeply was we go and visit his gravestone now that we know where it is.
Yeah.
But not so long ago, I think last year it might have been that me, you, and mom were at his gravesite, and I'm gonna put up the picture. And I cried so much that day. Granted, I was on. Wendy had given me something that I thought was just
Please.
wait. I thought it was this. What I said in episode two, part two. I was didn't know what I was using weed for, but I was just using it to numb my feelings.
And she also was not educated, so it's not my fault,
Yeah,
okay?
but look, when he gave me, I thought it was just like a regular weed, because we were all smoking. Because dad would have loved. We were playing Tupac, we were playing oldies, we were there. We brought flowers. We each brought flowers.
Mhm.
My partner Stephanie brought daisies,
Mhm.
and the pit like we there was blue because obviously he loves blue, and the daisies and us just sitting there at his gravestone, it became such a full circle in that moment because it's like I never thought that we would ever be sitting together.
I think we were painting too. Like we were
We
having
were
like family
painting,
bonding time, yeah.
we were just like, I think he would have been like so proud to see mom and like how sober she is. And don't get me wrong, sometimes mom, I love you with the bottom of my heart. Sometimes you get on my nerves,
Mm.
but to see us together, to see us united, to see the relationship that me and you have, because it's not always been this way,
Mhm.
um, it just brings a lot because yeah, it's just everything that you said, Wendy, I just connect to you and I relate to you and I understand it. So
Yeah.
but what a deep dive and oh man, when she said deep dive, she went deep dive. I had gone through a deep dive articles, but the last couple seconds before his passing, I didn't go. Um, I knew what time he was shot and they rushed him to the hospital. He was trying to survive. He was fighting to survive, but at the hospital, sadly, he was then pronounced dead. This is such a great like way to say police brutality. Obviously, we hear it more and more in the news. We hear it more of, 2020, we had the George Floyd. riot. Um, we have the Breonna Taylor. We just have all these individuals who keep getting killed by officers, and it's because of their overstepping of thinking that they have more power than any individual who is
Go ahead,
on
finish.
their street. But I just wanted to say, like, if you wear that badge, you have a diligence to protect people. You have a diligence to not harm individuals, but to protect them. And I understand that sometimes you're put in tense situations, but it does not give you a right to automatically pull out your gun and shoot when you have a taser, when you have a baton, when you have backup officers. It does not give you a right to automatically go and kill someone, because then this is the effects. This is the long term effects. You're not just killing one individual, you're hurting so many other people who love that single individual. Do you want to add on to that?
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, just to back what you were saying, in our dad's situation, they didn't even finish the phrase, put your hands up.
He was given less than a second to raise his hands before that officer shot. Less than a second to raise his hands before they shot.
And that's why I say I feel like both the system, the foster system, the all the systems that have been in our life has failed us every time.
Wholeheartedly.
Like, that's not fair. That's so unfair. And on the call, like I said, I went on a deep dive. I even found like the records of
Mm-hmm.
like
So did
the
I.
conversations between my mom
And the
and the dispatcher, and the dispatcher asking her multiple times, like, okay, so he doesn't have a weapon. Oh, and my mom said no, he only has the engagement ring
and
and
my
my
phone.
phone. So there was multiple, like, and they just didn't care. And because I feel like he looked
A certain way.
a certain way, like there was, they didn't give him a chance.
Yeah. And it's not to play like the, oh gosh, I don't want to. It's not to play like the race card, or to play the appearance. Okay, maybe more, put aside the race card, put the appearance card. If he would have been a just a man in general, no tattoos, no nothing, dressed a certain way, um, could have been bald, just dressed a certain way, looked a certain way, maybe they would have given him more of a chance. But because he presented himself in a way that looked like a gangbanger, he had tattoos, he had his hands in his pocket, and I get it, like, I get it. Having your hands in your pocket first and foremost, like when you're confronted with the police, like, I get it, it's my life or your life. And 9 times out of 10, like, the officers need to protect themselves too, because they have a family to go to.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are giving a man less than a second to raise his hands, to show his hands, and you shoot, it's like, then there's no act of self-defense. There was nothing for him to, like. And also the dispatcher, like, officers, you need to listen to the dispatch calls, and dispatchers, you need to communicate. This lady is telling the dispatcher over and over again, all he has is my engagement ring and my phone.
And they asked her, does he have any weapons? Is he carrying any weapons? They asked her that. It's not like they swept by it or
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't even brought up, and made like, because the conversation wasn't brought up, maybe he did have it. No, it was a question that was asked, it was a question that was answered,
And you will
and it
see
wasn't
the
heard.
articles. I will also put up pictures of the 911 conversation, as Wendy was saying. And she clearly tells the officer, the dispatcher, he has nothing but my engagement ring and my phone. That's
And
all he has.
to confirm it, after the situation, they said there was nothing on the scene. Nothing. So it was just like,
It's hard. And Wendy, one of the things that Wendy talks about is, I give a lot of compassion to the other side of things. Like, I always try to think of the other person's point of view.
mm-hmm.
And for the longest time, like, I felt like Wendy, where I just felt so angry at dad because it's like, you left me. You left me. And shortly after we were removed, mom lost custody. Everything went downhill. I lost my sisters. You left me. Everything, when you died, it all fell apart. And I knew it would fall apart because you left. And you left and you left and you didn't care about us. It's just so heartbreaking because it's just, I try to think of the officer's point of view, and I'm a person who usually can, like, I usually can think of the other person's point of view. But after reading the articles, after knowing what happened behind scenes, like, after being the 10-year-old, to hear the two officers tell my mom they had no choice but to shoot because he made it seem like he had a weapon, and then to go down and see that honestly, like, he was given less than a second to raise his hands before they shot. I cannot I can choose to forgive the officers, because then I saw this quote where, well, from a friend of ours who always tells me, if you're holding on to pain and anger, it's like you're drinking poison expecting the other person to get hurt.
Mm.
And so I can choose to forgive that officer because he killed the dad, he killed the one person in my life who cared about me. But as a human, I just can't get over the fact that you would so blatantly take out your gun and shoot someone without even after finishing the put your hands up.
That, or
That
even
sentence.
I've seen, and that's the thing, like, that's the thing about my sister, that's the difference. I'm also very compassionate and I have a big heart. I'm very emotional. However, when it comes to that specific group in the system, in this world, I am actively trying, okay? But I'm just pointing this out because it is something, like I said, that officer, he had the opportunity to come clean when he came to us, right? And he didn't. He chose not to. And for different reasons of officers being in our life and them failing us or lying or whatever it is, it's very hard for me to feel anything for them but hate, if I'm being completely honest.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, like I said, like, you made me hate a part of my dad and think of him in a light of being selfish.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. And two, the amount of times that it's been different scenarios, different people that look
Mm-hmm.
different than my dad, where they're sitting there and they'll pull out the pepper spray, they'll pull out the taser. Why did it have to be a gun?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we've been around officers in and out of our life. I'm very observant. I see what you guys have around your belt. There's no excuse. And then, too, like I said, I read into the details and everything. He had the car door. The car, and aren't they bulletproof? I would think, and if not, it's okay. That's still metal. The officer was in between the door. Like, does that make sense? Like, he had the door as
Like
a
shielding his body.
shield
Yeah.
against
My dad.
my dad. Yeah,
Yeah.
the our dad. So it's like you had multiple things in front of you to shield you. You were still kind of in your car. You could have gone in, or like I said, the door, and nothing would have happened because we had told you guys there he had nothing. He had nothing. He had nothing. All he had was a ring and a phone. What is that gonna do to an officer? Nothing. But when it comes to someone else, or like when kids are in danger, they don't use that same force. They don't use that. Not to say that everyone deserves it, but I'm just saying, like, you, it feels like in my life, officers always use the extreme
Mm.
route.
I get that. Yeah, like when you said, that's where we're a little bit different. But it's not to say or not that I don't see, like, again, like I brought up George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. There's so many other individuals who um just have been the badge of power was really overshadowed, and they thought that they were above everyone else, and so they automatically escalate to more violence. Um, but also, the officer wasn't by himself on that scene. There was two officers there, And everything that you said, 100%, I validate you in that sense that you had everything. There was, your life was not in danger. Same with all these other like cases, their lives were not in danger. And yet your whole mission is not to escalate the situation but to de-escalate it. And that officer wholeheartedly just went for to shoot. Like it was, there was something that and I can't think about it. Their aim is, their aim should be to something, oh gosh, I can't remember it. I can't remember it. But it's basically like along the lines, not to kill but to like again de-escalate the situation.
Mhm.
I use this phrase and I can't remember it right now, but um it's just sad. It's honestly sad. Um but we touched about the police. Can we quickly touch into how do you deal with a lost loved one? Did you deal with it back then or are you dealing with it now?
Truthfully, if anyone is going through loss, it never goes away. You just get used to it,
Yeah, I hate the phrase that they say it gets easier.
or it gets better. It doesn't. You just learn how to live with it.
Mm,
And when it happened, 2011, 17th of December, it was, we touched a little bit on it, but there were so many events that happened directly after
mhm.
that changed our life.
Mhm.
Counting his death, there was no time to process. There
Mhm.
was no time to, we didn't go to his funeral. We didn't get to say our goodbyes.
We weren't allowed to go to his funeral. We were not allowed. Mom tried. She got kicked out.
Oh.
They got, and rightfully so. Again, I get it. When you're in the midst of grief and you think you're all blaming each other, like you shouldn't have called 911, he would still be alive. You shouldn't have done this, he'd still be alive. For the longest, I blamed mom too. Um, but his family was really hurt, and I get it. Um, so she was escorted out of his funeral because they blamed her for his death.
Well, like I was saying, I didn't, but yeah, I didn't get to grief. I honestly just was moving forward. Like in the back of
Mhm.
my head, I knew he passed, but like I said, there were so many situations happening after that I was just living and going, living and going. I didn't really feel. Like I said, it was more so of like a thought.
Mhm.
Um, and then when I got older and I saw the video, I just I was just grieving. Like when I was older, I didn't grieve when he had passed because I didn't understand.
Mhm.
What I did understand was that little bit of like, okay, you're selfish because you did that. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
confused, and that was it. But when I got older, it was more so like I actually went through the grieving, and honestly, I don't think I had any tactics. I think I just felt,
Mhm.
and I was in denial. Like it was a process. It
Yeah.
was really hard, but I can't say I can tell you how I did it
Mhm.
because to my knowledge, I just felt.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's a way of coping with your grief. Um I agree with you. At the time when he passed, there wasn't enough time to process his death because so many things, and I touched base a little bit about it. Um, there just wasn't enough time to process his death because you're, again, when you're in like the, in a lot of trauma, there's a survival instinct that takes over your mind, and your just mind just goes on to, you got to keep going, 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 going. Um, so I didn't have time to process his death. And then we got placed into a foster home that I think will be beneficial to talk about at some point in this podcast. But even then was more of a survival instinct. I processed his death, honestly. I think it took therapy for me to process his death. I think realizing that dad, no matter how many years pass by, no matter how much time goes by and I get older, I will always just have that last look, and I have to live with that. and the world keeps spinning. And I hate when people say time heals all wounds. Um, no, it does not. Wounds leave scars, and though they're not visible to the eye, they still hurt. Some are more sensitive than others. Some are sensitive to the light, like certain scars and wounds. And some of them are just reminders. And so it doesn't heal all wounds. It makes it a little bit manageable, but it's still there. How do you, what advice would you give for someone who's going through grief? Because grief happens consistently basis.
Grief is a hard thing
Mm-hmm.
because one, it's the relationship you had with that person.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost people that, or I've lost a person that wasn't close to me,
Mm-hmm.
and it still hurt really, really bad. I would just say, and see, it's a hard thing because then it kind of goes into like your religion or if you're spiritual, but at least to me, I don't believe they're gone. I feel like they're watching, they're around us. So any advice would probably be like, you didn't lose them, you just gained a guardian, you gained a a guide. Maybe he wasn't strong enough to be that guide in life,
Mm.
but up there he could do more helping.
And he has. I look back at our life, and if he, and it's not to say like to justify his death or anything, I have a really hard time, but if he wouldn't have passed away, I don't think we would be here. I don't think I would have the life that I have now. And it gives me somewhat peace because he gave me a second chance of life. And like you said it, he never hit us. He knew that if he left us with mom, you, oh my gosh, wait,
No, I
you,
was about to say that, yeah.
wait,
He fulfilled his promise until the end.
oh my gosh, that gave me actual chills because the moment that I said that,
That's what I was gonna say.
dang,
Yeah.
he said he would never leave us with mom because he was afraid that she would take it out on us and go on a frenzy. And tell me 4 days later,
Not even four, wasn't it three?
17, 18, 19, 20,
No,
21,
21, right? Yeah,
4
four.
days later, we were removed from mom. Oh, that gives me so much chills. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, that realization, the moment I said that, it's like something came over me. Oh my gosh. Um, gosh. Grief looks different for everybody. Um, if you're going through grief right now, currently, if you've lost someone who, I heard someone say thank you. I heard someone, another close friend of who I've been blessed with in this life. Sometimes people come into our lives for a reason, a season, or for the rest of our lives. And if you're going through grief right now, there is no right or wrong way to grieve. Everyone copes differently. You are not alone. So many people have lost loved ones. So many people understand it. And give yourself grace. It's hard. It will take you, some people may get over it within a year and learn to live with the grief, right? Because we said you don't get over it, you just learn to live with it.
Mm-hmm.
But some people it might take long. For me, it took 10 years. Um, but grief is different for everybody. And again, if you're going through, you lost someone closest to you, all I can say is the pain will subside eventually. It doesn't fully go away, especially during their birthdays, their anniversary, holidays. But like Wendy said, if you're spiritual or you're not, just having that in the back of your head that they're not gone. They're just, I like to say it's not a goodbye, it's a
See you
see you
later.
later. I'll see you soon. So.
And with that being said, before we close off, I did want to just put in here that this is his birthday month. So if you
Yay.
guys could, and you guys have watched to the end, if you guys could do a little happy birthday or something in the comments, that would mean so, so much to me.
Yeah.
Thank you
We,
for listening, for sticking around, for being compassionate, for understanding this difficult topic.
yeah, very difficult topic, but brought a lot of awareness between a person who was an addict, their story, the impact that they made during the short time that they had with us, police brutality, and of course, how to manage with grief. So, thank you so much for listening. And as Wendy said, if you could just leave a happy birthday for him, that'd be great. And we'll see you next time.
We'll see. Oh, we'll see
See
you
you
next
next time.
time.
Okay.